Hello everyone, today's video is going to be about climate change. This is a very serious issue, and the climate crisis is going on right now. Before I continue, all my sources are listed in the description. In my last video on climate change, I debunked some stupid myths about the Green New Deal. But for this video, I will be discussing environmental racism in relation to climate change. Is everyone affected equally by climate change? The answer is no. Poor communities are way more likely to be affected by climate change. People of color are way more likely to be affected in so many negative ways by climate change. At this moment, intensive agriculture is unsustainable. Soil loss is an unfolding global disaster that will have catastrophic effects on world food production. This disproportionately affects middle class and especially poor people. See, climate change is not just happening in the United States. It's happening all around the world. Every year there are people that are forced to flee their homes due to climate change, whether it's the sea level rising or severe weather. Regardless, this is happening. Being an environmental migrant can really force someone into poverty because you lose your job, your house, then you have to pay for everything again. And these people are in the global south, the poorer countries. In 2019, the UN forecasted an estimate that there could be anywhere between 25 million and 1 billion environmental migrants by 2050. Of course, assuming humans are still alive by then. Climate change has dramatic effects on the global south. In 2019, the Philippines was ranked the country with the highest risk of experiencing multiple climate hazards out of anywhere in the world, followed by Japan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Indonesia, India, Vietnam, and Pakistan. 10th place was a five-way tie between Iran, Somalia, Peru, Mexico, and the United States of America. Japan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Vietnam, and the Philippines, Indonesia, and China also ranked within the 10 countries most at risk of experiencing a single climate hazard. Additionally, climate change can cause more tensions within a country. As resources become more finite in the global south, that means that more racial and ethnic groups have to fight over those resources. Unfortunately, here in the United States, corporations, and due to capitalism, the United States is able to steal resources from those countries. That's what we've been doing all this time. So these terrible things that are going on in the global south, they don't even affect those corporations. But now let's look at the United States. I have made so many videos on systemic racism, but environmental racism is a big part of systemic racism. People of color are more likely to die of environmental causes, and more than half of the people who live close to hazardous waste are people of color. Annually, the United States oil and gas industry releases about 9 million tons of methane gas and other toxic chemicals into the atmosphere. Blacks and low-income communities are disproportionately affected by air pollution in the United States. On average, communities of color in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic breathe 66% more air pollution from vehicles than white residents. That's awful. The thing is, people know that climate change is happening. These corporations know that it's happening. Jeff Bezos know that climate change is happening. This isn't something new. This isn't something that we just found out yesterday. This is all done on purpose, and they don't care. Every year, people die from climate change. A very recent example of how bad climate change is and how the climate crisis is here is what happened in Texas.
Millions statewide spending another night in the dark without electricity, heat, and for a growing number, running water. Flooding homes, only adding to the nightmare.
I know God is here, but who else? We're supposed to take care of our people.
To the south in Houston and Galveston, millions being told to boil their water after outages impacted treatment plants.
Going to be in this for a couple of more days.
Emergency officials now fielding hundreds of calls related to carbon monoxide poisoning as people resort to desperate measures to stay warm. The Lone Star State is alone in having its own power grid, allowing it to bypass federal regulations that would require safeguards for this exact type of cold weather. ERCOT, the nonprofit that operates the grid, admitting they are not able to compete with Mother Nature.
ERCOT saw the storm coming. The storm blew in. It also did damage to the supply side, and that knocked us enough out of balance that we had to take on these outages, as difficult and damaging as they have been.
As folks in Texas do their best to survive.
It's really terrifying to think about people dying from these freezing conditions. And we don't want to be one of those statistics.
As you saw from this video, the climate crisis is here, severe weather is here, and people died from it. People were freezing in their own home. There were reports all over the news about a kid dying when he froze to death. As I explained in previous videos, capitalism puts profit over people. And in fact, climate change is very profitable for corporations, for the bourgeoisie, for people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. But for the rest of us, climate change sucks. Climate change is racist. Unfortunately, our government doesn't really have any plans to actually fight climate change. If you want to live and not see human extinction, then we gotta fight. As I explained, air pollution is common. People are getting lead poisoning. Think about Flint, Michigan. But the government doesn't care. Capitalism doesn't care. It's all about profit over people. We need to put people over our profits. People over profit. If you're a Jeff Bezos, then climate change is not a big concern for you. In fact, he is distracting us by the space race. Here, I'll show you some clips about it.
If we're out in the solar system, we can have 1 trillion humans in the solar system, which means we'd have 1,000 Mozarts and 1,000 Einsteins. This would be an incredible civilization. What could this future look like? Where would 1 trillion humans live? So, instead, what O'Neill and his students came up with was the idea of manufactured worlds, rotated to create artificial gravity with centrifugal force. These are very large structures, miles on end, and they hold 1 million people or more each. Here's the International Space Station for scale. This is a very different kind of space colony. Let's take a look at what they might look like inside. High-speed transport, agricultural areas. We added a little drone there. Cities in the background.
The Space Hotel in 2027, are working class people going to be living in that thing? I don't think so. I think very wealthy, rich CEOs will be doing that. Because they can escape climate change, but we can't. The climate crisis is here. Time for us to stop denying climate change and start fighting. Climate change is racist, and climate justice is social justice. Thank you for watching my video. Please give this video a like, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not done so, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you.